All right, and let's stay with that story. And as you saw there, South Africa's Communications Minister Malatsi has instructed the country's telecoms regulator, ICASA, to amend its regulations to allow international companies such as Starlink to enter the South African market under an alternative setup of empowerment requirements. And for further expansion and reaction on this matter, we are now joined by Khusela Diko, and she's the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies. And she joins us now via our video link. Ms. Diko, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. I mean, let's start off here. How do you respond to what we've heard there from the minister saying that he is not amending legislation?
Good evening, Bali, and let me greet your listeners, your viewers, and thank you so much for inviting us in the program. Bali, I listened to the minister with utter disbelief. I think if anything that he was saying was true, then we would not be here this evening. The reality of the matter is that the minister has issued policy directives which are instructing ICASA, as per his initial proposed policy directives, to circumvent 30% BEE in the awarding of licenses for electronic communication services. Now, our view, or maybe let me say my view as the Portfolio Committee chairperson on communications, as well as the view of the African National Congress, which has deployed me, is that the minister's action is not only undesirable, but it is also unlawful. These are issues that we have raised with the minister repeatedly. This minister has demonstrated that indeed he is a legal delinquent. He has no regard for due process. He has no regard for existing legislation. And why we are saying that, the minister has mounted a very spirited attack against BEE laws. And I think all of us will understand that the party that he represents, Mr. Malatsi, the party that he represents is very opposed to the transformation agenda of this country, and they would want nothing more to ensure that BEE is disregarded and no longer forms part of our laws. And I think this attempt to bring in Starlink by stealth is just but one of the salvos that they're willing to fire against redress, equity, and ensuring that Black people are able to participate in the economy meaningfully. So we've rejected those policy directives. We're calling for their immediate withdrawal, failing which we are calling for ICASA as an independent, and it's important that we emphasize, as an independent communications authority of South Africa to apply its mind to what he is asking them to do, which is unlawful in our view. And we hope that their conscience is going to ensure that they reject those demands from the minister.
Yeah, and Ms. Diko, I mean, the minister there is saying that he has done everything within the confines of the law, and you are saying these directives he has given to ICASA are unlawful. In this regard, as the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies, what action thereof will you be taking, or even as a political party?
Let me start here, Mbali, and maybe explain why they're unlawful. You know, there's he hides behind, and I want to say that he obfuscates. He tries to confuse the law. He tries to insist that a statutory interpretation that we differ on, where it says that where it says that anybody seeking a license for electronic communication services must have a minimum of 30% equity ownership by historically disadvantaged persons, or any other conditions, or an increase in the 30% BEE. So he's using that word "or" to indicate that you may do away with the 30%. Now, anybody who's got an inkling of statutory interpretation will know that law is not read in isolation, it's read within context. There is no way that the legislator's intent would have been to say you have a minimum of 30%, or you can increase 30%, or any other conditions if that 30% was not mandatory. So that's the first starting point. Now, what we are prepared to do as Parliament is that we're going to convene a meeting early in the year, where we are going to appraise the committee of these developments and obviously ask the minister to brief us. As I said before, this is not the first time we are going to be doing it, but we are dealing with a minister who seems very intent on undermining Parliament, very intent on undermining the law. We have sought to understand whether a policy directive, which is of such huge import, he's even brought it before Cabinet for consideration. While it's not a requirement, we would think that something of this nature, which seeks to tamper with the laws of this country, he would have at least sought the wisdom of his collective. It seems that he has not done that either. Now, what we're going to do is to impress upon the minister that in this country, there's a sanctity of the doctrine of separation of powers. Where he does not understand the law, as it's clear that he is not understanding the law, he may seek a declaratory order from our courts, which are there for that purpose, to assist him with statutory interpretation, which seems to be confounding him. Or alternatively, where he is committed to undermining transformation in this country, to reversing the gains of our democracy, and ensuring that Black people are not able to participate meaningfully in the ICT sector, then he must change the law. And to do that, he's going to need to come to Parliament. There is no other way that the minister is going to achieve what he wants to do without following due process. So we will be engaging with him on that matter and really seeking to understand the basis upon which he thinks that he can instruct ICASA. I do want to put it on record, Mbali, that the independence of ICASA, the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa, is one of the hard-won victories of this democracy. And the DA, by the way, was one of the parties that fought successive ministers of the ANC to ensure the independence of ICASA. And, it's put to a test today where a minister of the DA, it pains me to even call him a minister of the DA, because the DA has been so intent to tell us that he is not our minister, he is their minister, so he doesn't represent all of us in this country. He only represents their constituents, and I think that's very clear, even by these directives that he's issued. But they need to understand that independence is guaranteed by the Constitution, and we are going to also ask ICASA to brief us on the approach that they're willing to take on this matter, because they've already voiced their opposition to this.
And Ms. Diko, before I let you go, I mean, you are saying that, you've dealt with this even in Parliament, but he was also saying to us here in SABC today that there was a consultation process done. Were these issues also addressed during those submissions?
Mbali, he went out on a public consultation process in May of 2025. He claims that he got 19,000 submissions on that process. And we were extremely shocked. We've been doing this for 30 years. There has never been any legislation, any policy regulation that gets as much as 19,000 submissions. So we are very skeptical of those submissions as well. We will be calling on him, I think, as the ANC study group, but also as the portfolio committee, to make those submissions public. I don't think there's anything wrong with that process, where he's able to say to South Africans, these are the people, these are the organizations that said to me, let me do away with Black economic empowerment, let me ensure that the ICT sector is not transformed. And we look forward to reviewing those particular submissions.
All right, Ms. Diko, thank you so much for your time. That's Khusela Diko, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies in Parliament, responding there to that directive from the Minister of Communications, Malatsi.